You're listening to On the Couch with Dr. Michelle, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Hi, everybody. You are officially on the couch with me, Dr. Michelle Cohen, and we have a special, amazing, interesting, and informative guest for you today. You're going to learn a lot and maybe enhance your own life by letting go of some of the problems that you have. Be in a more peaceful state. Learn how to look at our lives not as struggles, but more as of gracious gifts, and go with the flow and more. And you'll learn about that with my special guest. So let's bring her on right now as we join Dr. Nancy Wiley. Hi, how are you, Dr. Wiley?
Oh, I'm wonderful, Dr. Michelle. Thank you for having me.
I want to thank you so much. First of all, let me share this book with you all out there so you can see. This is called, her book, the latest, is Divine Trust. And as you can see, I've been reading it a lot because it's got, there you go. You want to get this book, and we'll be talking more about it and Nancy's journey as well, and how you can get hold of her book.
Oh, thank you so much.
Really appreciate you coming here. Divine Trust is a practical guide to end suffering and find your way home. So we're going to talk about where is home and what that means. But first, let me tell folks a little bit more about you and your background. Dr. Nancy Wiley has practiced various forms of meditation, my goodness, for 43 years. You must have started when you were 2.
When I was 16.
These have included transcendental meditation, holosync, which is the brainwave spirituality, guided meditations with many teachers, including Jediah, her most treasured teacher, and we'll talk about that too. And you attribute the attainment of unity consciousness to that. Mm-hmm. And in addition to being a Reiki master, wonderful work, she practices many forms of energy medicine, some of which include EFT, tapping, spring forest Qigong, diamond feng shui, and also you can learn more about Dr. Nancy Wiley on her website. It is trustthedivine.com. www.trustthedivine, beautifully said. You're also a, of course, licensed medical dentist. You've been practicing that for quite a long time. Very successful practice, I might add.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was, what a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I just want to, maybe tell your listeners, because when you have a scientific background, it actually trains us to be the opposite of this. And it's like two different worlds, really. Yes. Yes. And now they are joining through quantum physics. They are joining in through, I was listening to Dr. Joe Dispenza yesterday, and I'm like, yeah, right on. That's like the mystic. The scientist is explaining the mystical experience, which is so great.
I think it's beautiful. And I love the way you segued into that in your career as well. So can you just sort of define divine trust for us first, so we can get a handle on exactly what that is?
Sure. When you look up trust in the dictionary, it is the firm belief in the reliability, strength, or truth of a thing. In this case, God or source or the universe, or whatever name you are giving this energy that hosts all things. So it implies that it's a belief based on, there's no tangible proof. Divine trust, what I write about in the book is way deeper than that. It's actually how to develop your own direct communion with source. Like you see it, you feel it, you hear it, you experience it.
Right.
It's a back and forth communion. And it's a surrender into it so that your thoughts are its thoughts, that you realize you really are the same thing. And it's so hard to put into the English language but it's a very mystical, beautiful, delicious, and nourishing state where you actually have tangible proof. You are no longer related to this belief without the proof. You have it. That's divine trust.
Right. Beautiful. Beautiful. So let's talk a little bit about how your journey began. What sort of opened up your enlightenment, and what were some of the things in your life along the way that sort of made you say, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right?
Okay, so this will take a few minutes to tell this, but it's really great. When I'm 3, I had a traumatic event when I was on my 2nd birthday. So I remember everything from
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it wasn't like I was abused or anything.
Yeah.
It was something that on my 2nd birthday, it made me remember everything. So fast forward, I'm sitting in my backyard and I'm 3. And one of my brother, who was 8 years older, so he was about 12 at the time, a friend of his rides her horse through our backyard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, oh my God. And I just fell in love with horses. So all I ever dreamed about was having a horse. I never played with dolls. I never did any of that. I just had horse fingering.
Aw, yeah.
And I was like fanatically, obsessed. And I told my mom when I was like 4 or 5, I wanted to be a horse trainer. And she said, honey, you're testing too high on your IQ. You got to brain. And so she directed me, towards something out of that pursuit. But I still maintain love of horses. And I would just imagine a horse every single day, all day long.
Oh, yeah.
And when I was 12, one of her friends' mother gave me her horse.
Oh,
Beautiful horse, because she had breast cancer. She couldn't ride him anymore and he was going to waste. So I was like, you know what? This was at age 12. I'm going, this is kind of freaky that this doesn't happen. This is not the norm, but maybe I manifested it. I don't know. So I just thought it, that I was thinking about it day and night. And then how lucky could I be? And he was a fantastic horse. Oh my God, what a big part of my life. And so, that kind of wakes you up. But then she's like directing me into science. And so I'm like, okay, if that's the way it has to go, I'll become a doctor and then I'll have enough money to have horses. That's kind of what So here I go down this devoted. You talk about like a brainiac. I just studied day and night. So I would get good grades so I could become a doctor. I could have horses. Like the end result was to have
that was the goal, right?
Yes. And my mom thought I was too intense. So I'm in high school and I'm studying day and night all weekend. My sister's out partying her butt off. My mom thinks something's wrong with me. So she's like, you know what? I got to take you to learn transcendental meditation because you are way too serious.
Right.
So I wasn't serious. I just wanted a horse.
Right? Awesome. Your mom was into TM. I mean, wow.
So I learned transcendental meditation when I was 16. And then right about that same time, a friend of hers gave her a book to give to me called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. And then shortly after that, I got Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda.
The best.
The best. I'm reading it again for the fourth time right now. Love it.
I know. It's the best. Yeah.
So how does that broaden your mind? Okay, so now I say that's growing my right brain.
Right.
And science is growing my left brain. And science literally trains you out of that right brain.
Yes, it does.
You can't see it or prove it, and it's not reproducible. It's not real.
Exactly.
Okay. Just watch The Big Bang Theory and how Sheldon and everyone dismisses psychics. And I'm like, you guys, you're the very ones with quantum physics that should be able to explain that situation.
That's exactly right. The beginning of energy. That's it.
Anyway, so I went on to the science and I went to, I have actually 6 degrees.
What?
Degrees and certifications, 3 from Columbia University. Yeah.
And is this in medical and dental work?
I have a master's in nutrition, a doctor of dental degree, my certificate of orthodontics, and I'm a qualified orofacial myologist. I'm board certified. I have a bachelor's in biology. So it's
my goodness, girl.
Degrees. I know, it's crazy. So here's the thing. I started, that's that left brain. And I was taught, through sociology of religion and all my education, there was no God. And I'm sitting one day in an amphitheater, this is no joke. I'm in Columbia University in my second or third year with the dental and the medical go together. And I'm watching a course and it's talking about how the body, like different, like leukocytes, lymphocytes, T fighter cells, all of these different immune things. And I'm like, I got a big aha. I call it a snap. And where I realized there is something far behind this. This is not just an evolutionary process. There's something behind this. And I think it had to do with all that right brain stuff, right?
Yes. Yes.
So then I go on and I try brainwave entrainment. I'm doing TM meditation for about 25 years going, this is so boring. Where's all that stuff from Autobiography of a Yogi? I want that experience. Yes. Nothing. So I keep trying different things. I tried HoloSync for 8 years. Okay, so I'm trying these things for decades, right? Finally, I find my teacher who I love, Jetta Molly. I know her name is hard to pronounce. So she's out of the UK. She does guided meditation. And what happens is she takes you into the present moment and she gives your brain or your mind a job to do. So it's easy to stay in the present moment. And then she kind of subtly, with her skilled knowledge and her lights turned on, she turned on all of ours and mine especially.
Amazing. Yes.
She would have us work on for months at a time, love, gratitude, and then my favorite was trust.
Right.
Something about no matter what was happening on the outside, it would just like have scatterness. It would just boom, and I'd be right with source.
Wow.
It was so fantastic. And so then I was able to communicate with it with me, and then I slowly over time merged with it. And yeah, it's a whole different life. And I see things, hear things, experience things very much like the Autobiography of a Yogi.
Oh, that's beautiful. So you started having these aha or transcendental moments, as we're saying.
Yes.
And the more you practiced and the more you trusted, the more they were available to you.
Exactly.
So you're talking about communicating with the field. I mean, the field is, you're open to it. So a lot of this information in the quantum physics science world. So we're blending the science, of course, the spiritual. So this is all coming to you pretty freely because you've opened yourself up.
Oh, yes.
Right.
All I have to do is ask a question. I don't even have to be in a meditative state at this moment. I can get the answer. So I'm a medium, I'm a psychic, and I have this direct relationship with source energy. So it's beautiful. I mean, it's really, it wants to be shared. It asked me to write the book. It actually wrote itself. That book shows me that it's its own entity and it has little angel wings and it's flying on it.
That's so amazing. I love it. And the book she's talking about is Divine Trust. That's what we're talking about today with Dr. Nancy Wiley. And you got to read it. It's really very profound, deep, understandable, user-friendly, and there's all this great information about how you can help yourself get into more divine trust, some of the steps you can take. And thank you, by the way, for those practical steps, because I'm going to be asking you a little bit more about those things. So that's beautiful. And thank you for telling us about your background too. I know there's a lot more to your backstory too, but you hit the really poignant points. So something that was really fascinating to me is you suggest that the more profound the core wounds, so we all have core wounds. We'll talk about those too. The bigger, the stronger the spirit is, or the individual's soul, whatever you want to call it, who chooses these lessons. I'm just trying to figure it out going, okay, wait a minute, because to me, the old school stuff is you've already learned those lessons in past lives. So in these future lives, this particular life, you need to go on to learn the next lessons, which aren't so core wounds. They're not such horrible lessons. So how does that work, that these people who have these really core wounds are suffering, but they're learning because they are higher spiritual beings?
Right. So I believe like we're all, all of what I say, my experiences are, everyone can experience it. Everybody can. It's within all of us. It's just waking up to it. Something about the human experience when we're born.
Right.
It's meant to, it's almost like we have amnesia to what we are. And waking up, this life is about waking up, because as I say in the book, we all are the divine, but it wants to experience itself. It's amazing beauty and power. So the amnesia, which we forget who we are, and then we get core wounds, it's all to like break out and wake up and be able to overcome them, transmute them into the beauty of what they are.
Right.
Did I answer your question fully, or do you still have more?
Core wounds are things like traumas, illnesses, really horrible environmental upbringings that we may experience, and all of the suffering.
It could be even in, a parent says something, or a kid teases you at school. That's a wound. Right. And they all pile on until we suffer so much. It causes us to look for relief. And that's where we are right now. Humanity is changing. All of these things that are happening right now are like cranking up that notch. Are you guys it's asking us as a collective, are you going to figure it out? Do you really want to work this way? Do you really want the world to be like this? Or do you want to find your way out? And let's turn it up a little bit more each time until you find your way out of it. So that's kind of like the way it is. So they're really actually opportunities to change our future. I believe we create. I know it's hard to accept that responsibility, but I believe we create our reality, and it takes a while to figure it out. I mean, I still am figuring it out. And I don't know very many people who have mastered that aspect, but we're trying. We're working our way into becoming pros at this.
Yes. It's interesting because a lot of people who I work with as well, and myself, and my family around me, we're pretty high conscious, I would say, people, and spiritually oriented, not so much religiously oriented. And I know you were raised Catholic, by the way, so you had a lot of questions about that. But anyway, we'll go on about it. But the question is, we're thinking many times, and we ask each other in our family gatherings or whatever, if something bad happens to us, we'll say, whoa, what did I do to create that? What kind of chaos was going on here that I brought that to me? Right. And you're there too, right? I mean, is that sort of like the law of attraction in a way? Or
it is, but here's what the law of attraction's missing a little bit. I mean, it needs to really bring this point on. It's about a vibration.
Right.
It's a vibration. It's a feeling sense.
Right.
That vibration, the one of trust, which is complete safety and nourishment, and like you are like this divine hand just holding you up and just nourishing you. It provides, I mean, once I said, I mastered it, this is the way I'm going to live, I was tested. And that's what the book is about, how I was tested and how I had to regroup. And then I realized, oh my God, nothing can happen to me. I am unshakable. Right. I am unshakable. Nothing could happen to me. Right. And then my reality really started to change.
Right.
And the source told me because I had mastered it, it wanted me to write a book, especially for the Parkland shooting people, because I was in the middle, my practice was 1.5 miles away from the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High in Parkland.
Oh my gosh. So you were experiencing that moment by moment.
Oh my gosh. I was working that afternoon. My mom had just died.
Oh my God.
I had her funeral 5 days before. And my father was suffering. My brother was suffering. My sister was suffering. I was the closest to her. Yes. And I was the only one not suffering. I was completely in peace. I was with her when she took her last breath. I was giving her Reiki on her transition. We were Reiki masters together. And she, don't forget, she's the one who gave me all the books, taught me TM. We became Reiki masters together.
Yes.
So she had just died. And I'm like, I trust so much. I am so firmly entrenched in divine trust that I'm not suffering. This is really a beautiful gift. 5 days later, I'm working in my clinic, a
Right.
mile and a half away from Archery Stillman Douglas, when a mom
Yeah.
standing next to me exclaims, "There's an active shooter at Douglas." Oh my God. We were hearing things from
Oh,
people who were calling us that were there, and
yeah.
they were giving us, blow by blow, but we had no clue. We had lost a patient that day, and one of our staff lost her sister. So when I was
Oh,
actually
no.
at my staff sister's funeral, I can see, sounds crazy, but I'm a scientist. You remember this, okay? I have 6 advanced degrees, and I've done all this research at Johns Hopkins Medical School.
You're so left brain, girl. Right.
Okay, well, I'm in her funeral, and I often see the people whose funerals we're at, or their whatever. I see their soul. I saw this soul. It was so huge. I've never seen a soul.
Wow.
It was, I want to say 40 feet big. The
What?
soul.
What did it look like? What did it look like?
It looked like the girl. It looked like the girl it was, but it was huge. It was huge.
Wow. Wow.
And I'm like, I said, I wouldn't be surprised that this is the biggest soul I've ever seen because of what she's been through,
Right.
and what she's done. And I believe we choose our soul's path before we incarnate, and then we're given amnesia. We choose it. We choose that we're going to live this life, or we're going to be an agent of change. Now, listen how beautiful this is.
Okay.
I got the message that she chose it. She knew she was going to die young, not when she was in her human body, but before she chose to incarnate, and that she was going to be an agent of change for not just
Right.
her plan, but for the whole world, but even more than the whole world, for the whole universe, for all of perpetuity, for all of this energy it's never ending, for that goodness, for that goal. So if she did that, what a beautiful soul she was. I mean, she was literally, or I was shown that she was huge,
Yes.
huge. And I was getting that on every one of the souls that had given their life.
My goodness. What an incredible gift to be able to do that you can tune in and open yourself to see that. So that's magnificent. And I know a lot of listeners would love to be able, and viewers would love to be able to, experience these things as well. And it's very important, I think, for us to try to tune in, at least to have more faith and divine trust. And this is, by the way, the book. Here we go, Divine Trust. Dr. Nancy Wiley, and we're talking about it, her concepts, her journey, and how you can get help in your life right now. It seems, like there's this huge divide. I mean, when we're looking out there at people and some of these, I don't know, political situations that are going on, and of course, strife around the world, wars, you know what I'm talking about. And of course, we're ramping up into, new strains of COVID, but thankfully it seems to be sort of becoming managed. But I think there's this divide of either you're moving towards the higher consciousness, and that's just sort of the phrase that I can think of, or more, divine trust or guided awareness, or there are folks who are going into a deep hole of negativity, of the 3-dimensional,
Fear.
focus and fear.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're seeing?
It is what I'm seeing. It is. And I'm also like, sometimes I will ask it about that, and it does show me that that's happening. But I'm also shown we are actually evolving. We're going from a quantum leap. And if you know anything about the chakra systems, we start out, at the first chakra, maybe Neanderthals. This is just an approximation. And then we get up to the emotional. And now we're pretty much, most of humanity's going between the second and the third, between the emotional and the mental. And where I come from is from the heart, from speaking it. And my favorite is the 6th chakra, where I could stay my whole life. But
yeah.
My teacher, Jetta, would say, you're not here to stay in the 6th. You're here to bring that down into reality. That's why you're here. That's why you took a body, and that's your job.
Right.
So, that was years ago. And I have to think about it and allow it. A lot of what I teach and what I have been taught by my favorite teacher, which is which is a lot of them, but is to allow. The more we can allow ourselves to open, the more we're going to experience. So it's really coming in an open state of trust. But it all starts, this book is foundational, because if you, like I did, was try to catapult, past it. I didn't really believe in the source. I hadn't made the connection. And yet I tried to have all these super, natural experiences. But once I made that connection and got the foundation, wow, everything, my Reiki, everything became like quantum leaps more powerful.
Yes.
I was much more able to hear things, see things, be things, do things, create things. And that's where I think, a lot of people want to be.
Wow. Of course we do. Of course we do. And, remembering back when you flipped that switch and all of a sudden things became poof. Do you remember what that moment was and what you were doing?
No. Okay. So it does, for most people, it doesn't work like one switch, you're done. I just remember a little bits, like little breadcrumbs that once they happen to you, like you remember, like the one when I'm in the amphitheater and I'm like, holy cow, there's a force behind this. And it was wanting to be seen. It wants us to see it. It wants us to realize that we are it.
Yes.
So it's like this hand reaching out to you. You just have to grab it, and then you see everything opens up. But I do remember the first time I had what we call a unified field experience. I remember it like yesterday, and I will never, ever, ever forget it.
Okay.
Do you want me to share?
I'd love to hear that. Yeah.
So we were in a meditation. I signed up with Jetta. I've been studying with her since 2008. So I've done a lot of mentoring with her. And we were doing a group mentoring with her. She would do it over the internet. And she put us in a meditation. And suddenly I was like in outer space. Like, I don't know. I was traveling and I was up in, I was beyond the earth into just pure space. I could see a bright light in front of me. Then I became that light. I could see 360 degrees all around me. I had no body.
Yes.
I was nothing, but I was everything.
Yes.
Oh, when that happens, it's so glorious. You come back.
My gosh. Yes.
And it's like you will never, ever, ever be the same after that.
Right. Right. And maybe you don't need psychedelics to experience that.
Oh my God. I'm like, you know what? No one needs that, but they're all hungry for it. I believe that people on earth have this hunger in their heart.
Sure.
So they're looking, but they don't know how to find it or fill it. So what do they turn to? Alcohol, drugs.
Sure.
I mean, how prevalent drugs are right now.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
But if they could have these experiences and realize that you don't need it, oh my God, it's the most sublime experience to have these feelings, to have this relationship. It is just so nourishing. Oh my God.
It's beautiful. One of the most common things I hear, you probably hear too from people, is they just don't have time to meditate. They just don't have time. They're working 12 hours a day here in Los Angeles area. There's a lot of people who are in media. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, they're hours, and then they live to work. Basically, they are habituated to it, and it's okay, I guess. But there's always an excuse to, it's going to be so hard for me to meditate and rest my thoughts, and calm those frontal lobe beta consciousness ruminations, as they call it. So it's like, no, it's not that hard. There's little baby steps you could take to get into it.
So, I would say back to them, yes, depending on what type of meditation you do, it can be really hard. Well, look at me. How many years? 40 years? Let's say 30 years by the time I found Jetta.
Yeah.
I was doing this. And I was finding time, but not like daily.
Sure.
Most of the time I did not do it daily.
Right.
And I didn't do it sitting up. I did it mostly laying down.
Right. There are no rules.
Yes. There's no rules. And then the guided meditation, I tell you, that to me is the way. is the way. It's so much easier to give the mind a job to do in the present moment. And then you kind of slowly work your way into it. And then now I can do it, but it's still hard to just be in just the stillness of nothingness. I mean, it's beautiful, but it's the hardest type of meditation, I will tell you. It's in going into the field.
Sure, exactly. And, as Greg Braden suggests, as you talked about, you get into the heart chakra. I mean, that's your, the heart brain. Of course, in Palo Alto, the Heart Math Institute, is amazing in sharing all that. And I think a way we can get into that is, to share with people is to really get in touch with their emotions and love. I mean, that's the biggie, is because if you don't have that first before you start getting into meditation, you've got to really have that heart brain coherence and start feeling. And in order to manifest, of course, as you said in the law of attraction, there's that emotion, the heart, the feeling. That is what creates the changes in the density out there to sort of roll out anything that you are beckoning from the field, including the negative thoughts. But hopefully the heart is not aching and saying, oh my God, I'm suffering. But the heart is in a loving state, right?
Yeah. Yes. Well, the emotional scale, it's love will totally blow away anything. So you have people that are using it for the dark, but love will transmute it. It's so powerful. And gratitude and this trust is, I can't even put it into words other than what I opened the program on.
Yeah.
It is such a delicious, nourishing state where you are just completely fed. Everything.
True.
Everything's perfect.
Exactly. And I think it is, again, it's that fear-based living here that, in the density of it all, and which is fine. That's why we came here, to experience it and the sensations, but to learn. But I mean, it's just really in my, profession, all I hear people come to me. And by the way, this is going to change my practice because people won't need me. True.
They will need you, or they will need you.
I will manifest that. I would erase back.
In a different capacity as you get, you up level to the, the 4th, 5th, and 6th, you're going to be disseminating knowledge differently.
Absolutely.
You'll still be a healer, but you'll be doing it on a different, level. Oh, healer, I can't say that. You'll still be helping, assisting.
Sure. Yeah. And, the thing is that we do, we try the best we can to baby step into that for folks, because a lot of people aren't willing to hear. They're like, what? You're crazy. You're supposed to be giving me a cognitive behavioral therapy right now. So, and that cognitive and, higher levels of cognition. Hey, we can do that as well. Mm-hmm. But I think my earlier point, get back to the point, is, it really is difficult sometimes for folks to calm their minds and get into that state.
It is. I agree.
And you talk a lot about being in the now, being in the now. And I think that's, really more difficult for people too, because we're always looking back, digging up our past in order to figure out how to survive now and in the future. And then a lot of people, of course, predict the worst case scenario in the future because of the fears they built up. So that's a real conundrum right there. I think people are caught into.
So I really want to bring this point. This is pivotal. Okay. Remember the left brain and the right brain. The left brain is usually you're in fear or anxiety. You're looking back at the past, or your fear of what's going to happen. You're projecting what's happening in the future. You're judging. You're finding what's lacking, missing, or wrong.
Right.
You're labeling and categorizing things, right? Mm-hmm. That's when you're in your mind.
Okay? Yes.
So let's juxtapose that to the right brain. It doesn't label. There is no need to label anything. It looks for what's the commonality, the beauty in things. It finds exquisiteness of it. It's in the now. It's in the present moment. And it's so completely two different ways of
Yes.
beingness, of operating.
Right,
And
right,
this is where we're moving from being in that left brain to being in the right brain. And once you're in this right brain,
right,
and
right.
it takes the forefront and it uses the left brain as its tool, oh my God,
Makes so much sense. Mhm.
this is a change that's going to catapult humanity into that golden era. Now, will it happen in our lifetime? I don't know.
Yes.
I hope so. And it's starting to. I mean, it's really taking a foothold. So more and more people, like, why would you even have me on the show if it wasn't the case that this is changing? And we all know it and we sense it. And
Exactly.
that's the beauty. It looks for love. Okay, I just want
Yes.
to take the political divide. Okay, because it just negates it and melts it and transmutes it. Okay, so I either stand
Yes.
the right or the left, and the other
Right.
one's terrible, and it's like the fact missing or wrong. This says there's nothing wrong. Both are accepted and beautiful, and there's way more unity than there is the opposite.
Right.
And so it's like, wow, it kind of it just melts the negativity away. Jetta will say you're standing in the light. You're using the light of your consciousness to melt whatever or transmute whatever isn't it. So you're just melting all that stuff that's not really truth. It isn't truth.
Right, right. So let's talk about getting into that space of divine trust, some of the baby steps we can take. You share with us, 5 steps that you suggest we follow in order to enter into that state. So what are those steps?
Love it. Okay, first of all, it's your choice. Are you going to choose it, or are you going to choose to stay where you are? It's a choice. So you're saying like, okay, I choose it. Now what do you have to do?
Okay.
You have to open your heart. You have to be willing, and you have to allow new sensations, new things to come into your awareness.
Right. So when we open our heart, we're learning how to not judge, just like you were talking about the political situation.
Yeah.
Sort of learn how to mediate that and say, these are things, opinions. I'm observing this. So we're opening our heart to accepting others' truths, perhaps.
I would say you're willing to let everything be okay.
Okay.
You have to take the first step. It starts with a choice. Second, it starts with being willing and allowing and opening your heart. And then you have to be some sort of open.
Right.
You can't say I'm protected. I'm not going to experience anything. You won't experience it. I will tell you, you won't experience anything if that's how you come at it.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So you have to kind of release your control on things and just be willing and allow to experience something new.
Oh,
Okay?
that's a hard one. A lot of people believe in action-oriented. Well, if I just did this, or if I talked this way to someone, or if I really reached out harder, or I was better, more intelligent, or what, you just have to let it go and say, it is what it is. Basically.
So all my left brain training, oh my God, trying, pushing, forcing,
Right.
allowing. It's completely different way of being.
Yes.
And
Yes,
it takes practice. It does. You just don't do it once and then,
Right.
you have to keep going at it, especially if you're a perfectionist and,
Oh my gosh.
you've been trained in that.
And that's right. I'm with you, girl.
Okay. So
okay.
choice, willing and allowing, open your heart. Now, fourth, let's do this. Okay. You want to come into the present moment. And when you close your eyes, so we want to shut off our human senses. I mean, you'll still be okay. I mean, don't think, someone's going to sneak up on you and you're not going to be
Yeah,
okay. But you want to shut your eyes. You want to shut your human ears. You want to shut off your human senses. And you want to awaken and start to wake up your inner senses, your inner sight, your inner hearing, your inner sensing and feeling and knowing. So it's different. It takes some time to get there, and it's happened slowly for most of us.
Yes.
But it's, it starts. So Here, I just want to, I'm going to explain because I think if we try to do a meditation, we don't really have that much time to do it, but I want to explain it.
Right.
So we come into the present moment, we close our eyes and we breathe. And I usually say, breathe and like with your eyes closed, imagine a circle, you're breathing up and you're breathing out. And just, concentrate. So giving your mind a job to do by watching the breath and envisioning a circle or a roller coaster. You can do like I'm breathing out and then I'm breathing in, either one. And so you're giving your mind a job to do, but then you're in the present moment. And then I guide us to look forward with our eyes closed. So now we're using our inner senses at what's in front of us. And to something, what is it? Is it dark space? Is it alive? Is it not alive? And then I use my consciousness. So the book came with the audio files too, because it wanted me to speak it and wanted me to give people so they could actually do the processes in the book with their eyes closed, because this is experiential. The knowledge happens with experience. By reading the book, it's not going to be able to take its effect. So we're closing our eyes, we're following the breath, and then we're looking at this space in front of us. And at first for me, I got glimpses. Yeah, I think it's alive. I think it's, I don't know. I felt it just for a second and it was gone. And, that little glimpse, when it goes, you were just like trying to grab it. And Jetta would say, just let it go. The more you try, the more you try to.
Right.
The more elusive it's going to be. It's an allowing process. And the more you allow, the more you see. And then slowly, I started to see that the space in front of me was this vast sea, this vast ocean of never-ending energy. And it was alive. Wow. And it was sensing me. And it wanted me to see it.
Yes.
And it wanted to commune with me. And it wanted to make this relationship. And it wanted me to go in there and see how deep it was. And it, eventually it wanted me to write this book.
Right, exactly. So, and it is the divine consciousness or the source or however y'all want to suggest.
It's a host energy that hosts all things. And the book is actually, it goes across all religions.
Yes, it does.
Even people who don't have a religion or consider themselves atheists, it still will speak to them.
Right.
But these glimpses that I'm talking about, this inner sensation will get longer and longer and longer until, like for me, I don't even have to close my eyes. I don't even have to go into meditation. It's with me all the time. I'm living it. But I do a process every morning that's very, very special. I'd like to talk about that. If you have any other questions. Okay. Yes. So in the morning, as soon I don't get out of bed, as soon as I realize I'm conscious, I do. So it takes maybe 5 to 10 minutes to do this whole process.
Not bad.
Everything in the book is short, like 12 to 14 minutes. It's all short. All the meditations are that way because they wanted it to be that way.
Right.
I wanted to be concise but anyways, so in the morning, as soon as you realize you're awake, don't open your eyes, just stay in bed. And you want to do a process of self-love. Wow, this is something really, really important and pivotal, because if you don't love yourself or find yourself worthy, you're not going to be able to carry this energy. You're not going to be able to know it because you're not going to feel worthy of it, which is this huge collective crap. Right. I mean, I had to clear so much of that collective worthiness. I can't even tell you how much I've worked on myself with the worthiness issues.
Yes.
So the process, find something you love. So much easier for us to put our love on something else than ourselves, right? But find something, everybody can find something they love unconditionally.
Right. Exactly.
So what is it? Let you put your attention on that thing of your unconditional love and let it grow and grow and grow and grow, and then turn it on yourself. Woo!
Wow. Woo! So we just see that as an energy field of love for something or someone or whatever that is. And then we just allow it, we visual it to just sort of come in to our own being. I love it.
For practicality, I'm going to tell your listeners and your viewers, I use my dog. My dog is
Oh, I love that. I was going to
oh
say
my God.
animals. Yeah. No.
So, I mean, sometimes my husband will, I love him so much. And I did with him this morning. I mean, I used him as my unconditional love.
Of course. It doesn't matter. There's no judgment. I mean, there is no judgment. Whatever we love and can have the depth of feeling for in love at that particular time of our awakening in the morning, whatever works is what I say. Whatever it is. So there's no judgment.
And then you don't stop until you feel your energy shift, like your expansion and your self-love. It's a pivotal point. I mean, magic happens when you do just that simple process alone.
Right.
It's magical. Right. And then I do one other thing on top of that, which is so fantastical. After I do the self-love and I'm like, okay, I love myself. What I do is I merge with source. So I consciously, with my eyes still closed, I find source. I log onto it or connect to it, whatever your terminology is. And then I surrender to it. And I almost like it comes in from behind me, becomes my eyes, becomes my thoughts, becomes my words, and then I do every chakra, and then I do my right side and my right hand and my left side, my left hand, and it can feel itself.
Yes.
And then I do my legs and it can feel itself. So I almost become the vehicle for the divine. So it walks the planet. It speaks to you. It can feel itself, and it can feel itself walking upon the earth.
Right.
And it's really powerful. So if we can wake up and we can give ourselves love and then be this energy, this source that's hosting all things, and come here in love and gratitude and acceptance of all that is. I mean, this is the way.
It's so beautiful. And your book is just amazing. And in order to, just again, take the practice and do these, perhaps guided meditations with your audio, package as well, which are really profound teachings and wonderful guided meditations. People can slowly step into this state. And I mean, my goodness, their whole lives are going to change. I mean, when we start doing, the self-love, I remember oh my God, this dates me back in the 80s. I think it was like the late 80s. I was into Ramtha, right? Love that which you are. Love that which you are. Go into the chakras, love into the heart, and all this. And I was practicing this every day, which is sort of similar. But I remember things popping and happening. I just remember seeing things from the universe that were coming. I would think of something that I wanted, and not necessarily a three-dimensional material thing, just some relationship or something. It would just sort of come into being. Well, I get these calls from, so the same kind of thing. And it's sort of you're manifesting things that you'd like in your life in this experience, but it is that core of going into, and really, we do have to start at the root of loving ourselves, right?
It's definitely a pivotal and a foundational practice, because if we don't love ourselves, then we're really telling this energy that we're not worthy to hold it.
Right, exactly. And we all are worthy. And that's why we're here, because we're these wide-eyed little souls who come through, and we're like, now what? Really bothers me about the amnesia. And that's why I love to read, books like Dolores Cannon's, 20 books about what she dictated when people were under hypnosis in their past lives and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool.
Exactly.
I guess we'd be pretty messed up if we came here without amnesia. Trying to distort it.
I think so. I think the divine has the program figured out pretty well. And it's slowly awakening to this, all that we are. I mean, this power is, do you think we could handle it if we didn't have it slowly dribbled to us? I don't
think so, because of who we are and why we came here, in order to learn it. we're just about out of time, but I want to thank you again so much, Nancy. You're lovely.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so wise, and thank you for bringing all of your love and your teachings to us as well. And again, here's the book. You can get it anywhere, Amazon, all that, but also check out Nancy's website, trustthedivine.com, www.trustthedivine.com. It's beautiful.
Oh, and there's free meditations if they go to Trust the Divine all the way down at the bottom. And if they buy the book, they can put the Amazon code into divinetrustbook.com and they'll get a whole bunch of free gifts. So do it.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Bless you, my dear. And so
Thank
nice.
you, Dr. Michelle. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right, Dr. Michelle, here's some advice, and do take care of yourself first. Yeah, go within and try to love yourself a little bit more, and things will work out for you. All right. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
You're listening to On the Couch with Dr. Michelle, right here on LA Talk Radio.